been murdered. All the friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. And the bird said nevermore.
You're listening to the Call Podcast with Brandon and Josh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of The Call. It is a Baltimore Ravens podcast where we talk anything and everything Baltimore Ravens football. Thank you all for listening to us on your favorite podcast platform, whatever that may be. We've got actual football to talk about. The Ravens will be going up against the Super Bowl contenders, the Philadelphia Eagles, this coming Saturday, while they're still getting ready for the regular season in training camp. So lots to cover. Let's jump right on in. Joining me as always, my buddy Josh. What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm doing awesome. You literally skipped over all the social medias. Are you just being lazy this time?
I can't. There's too many. I'm trying to speed up the show. So I'm trying it out. Look, we're in training camp.
Speed up the show. Slow down. Why are we trying to speed up the show?
We got stuff to talk about. We got all this Ravens stuff to talk about. I'm clapping. You're not hitting the table yet, but
hear it now?
Yeah, I hear you. But look, I'm trying stuff out. It's training camp. Let's see if this works.
Yeah.
Stitcher's heading out the door. So let's see if we can figure out some other stuff.
But missing the overcast with you.
Oh man. All right. We'll put a poll out. Do you guys want the overcast back on our Facebook page? How about we do that?
Yeah. All right. It's a staple. Let's see what the people say. I know they're going to side with me. Brandon's taking shortcuts today, so we'll see. But the call is coming to you top of the morning to you. We're recording in the morning. How's that?
That's right. We were going to record Monday. We put out a little promo video saying that we were recording Monday. New show is going to come out Tuesday, but wicked storms rolled through Maryland on Monday. Josh lost power. It was out for a good long time. We couldn't record, unfortunately, but here we are. It is Wednesday morning, so please keep that in mind as you listen to this. We are recording at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, so things may change before, we are able to put the show out. So let's talk a little bit about what we've seen in training camp so far this week. Interesting over the weekend. A lot of people were completely freaking out because there was a ton of interceptions. The most interceptions in training camp all year happened on Saturday. We don't want to see interceptions. However, I'm going to go with the old John Harbaugh saying, good. Remember, things aren't going well. Good. This is happening. Good. It's training camp, guys. If we're in the mid-season and there are 9 interceptions and they're all from Lamar Jackson, yes, time to worry. However, it's all good right now. It's okay. It's training camp. We want things to get worked out. We want people to make mistakes so they can correct them now. And it's also a sign that our defense is really, really good. So, Josh, let me ask you, people were complaining. People were kind of going crazy talking about all these interceptions over the weekend. Now that it's Wednesday, things have gotten better. Odell, Lamar, they're on the same page. They're looking good. But what's your take on this? What's your take on what we're seeing from the QBs, these interceptions, what we're seeing from the defense? What have you seen so far in this past week of training camp?
Well, in the context of the interceptions, going back on and looking at some of them, you almost have to look at, are they a byproduct of the defense being disruptive, or is it a product of Lamar just being inaccurate and making the wrong read? It's kind of ironic in a sense because the defense that's getting the interceptions is the Baltimore Ravens defense, right? So it's kind of like it's not the opponent. So it's like, okay, well, yeah, Lamar throws a pick, but the defense got the pick. So you're like, okay, well, it's good that the defense is intercepting balls, but it's bad that Lamar's throwing them. So it's like, what more do you want? Like, they're practicing against each other. So I take it for what it's worth. Yeah, you don't want interception to happen, but I actually just had this little spar going back and forth, and it wasn't anything malicious, but it just having fun going back and forth with some fans about like it's just practice, and it's hey it's he's throwing interceptions out there, and I'm like, well, you can't be perfect, right? And I alluded to that Peyton Manning once threw 6 interceptions in an actual NFL game, regular season. So look, interceptions are a part of it. It's part of growing. I would be concerned if, and you might be shocked here, but I would be concerned if Lamar went through the whole camp and didn't throw a single interception.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you can't be perfect. Like interceptions are a part of you're going to make mistakes. Like, apparently one of the last practices they just had, he went 18 for 25 and no picks. So you have to look at it as like, yeah, I get it. There was that one dark day, right, where he had like 4 interceptions in one practice session. It's okay, but like again, the stat sheet can throw 4. Like let's take it to a regular season game. If Lamar threw 4 interceptions in that game and they won the game, would you really care? Or would you be like, is that all you're going to focus on? I don't care if the Ravens won. Lamar threw 4 picks and one of them was a pick 6. Doesn't matter. Like the end of the day is wins and losses for the team, right? I don't care how you get there, just get there. So I say that a lot to say growing pains are part of it. And I'm glad that Lamar's throwing interceptions because you know what? Maybe he's going to learn from it and go, hey, maybe I'm not going to make that read in a game. Hey, maybe I'm not going to do that. But interceptions might happen, right? Tip balls, he again, there's a context of interception. Like, is it like he just threw it right to the defender? And again, practice footage is sometimes few and far hard to come in between here. So you have to you get a little bit of snippet of highlight and all right, that was warranted by the defense. But again, you don't know. You're playing against the Ravens defense, who right now is being praised as being one of the best units out there in the league. And you don't know if the defender made a play. Did he break on Lamar? Did he read it? Or Lamar just made a very, you don't really know that. You have to break it down and get really into the nitty gritty of things. But for the high level of what it's worth, yeah, it's always you're going to put your nose up at it when you and crinkle your face when you hear Lamar, specifically through interceptions, or the running backs are fumbling, or the receivers and tight ends are dropping footballs. You really want to scoff at that because you're like, well, that's not sharp. But I also say practice makes perfect. And hey, I'd rather them get these things out now and correct it. So then when they come week 1 against Houston Texans, they're out there catching balls and Lamar's being efficient. But again, you're not going to have that all 17 games of the year plus playoffs if they qualify. So it's tough, man. I mean, we're not NFL players. I just think it's just too hard to go perfect, man. But it's the context of the errors. And from what I hear, for the bad days that they have, they bounce back and have a great day or a solid day or a good day, whichever you want to call it. So, and just we alluded to, Lamar was efficient the last day in practice. Odell Beckham's a star right now. For what it's worth, camp, it's good days and bad days, man. It's training camp. They're learning from things, and that's what you hope. You hope the team learns from that and goes to the film room and goes to the tablets and, okay, what did I do wrong there? Correct it. So I'm not too concerned, but again, I'd be highly concerned if Lamar was perfect every day in practice and had nothing to worry about, because I'd be like, really? Because then it's going to come regular season. What if that first game falls apart and you go, oh, there it is. So look, you want to use it now and then get better as we traject towards the season and each game. So we'll see what happens. But right now, I think an overall solid camp is certainly something I'm not concerned at all, pretty much coming out of camp right now. And heading into the first preseason game, you're going to get to see, now you're not going to get to see Lamar or the starters play, but you're going to get to see some live action football, certainly for the first time, and the only home game here at M&T before the regular season starts. So it's going to be great. They're going to play against another opponent, get to hit somebody else other than their own players for a change, put everything on out there. And you're going to see the second and third stringers try to make the team. And you're going to see some names emerge.
As it pertains to those interceptions, like we talked about over the weekend, 9 interceptions. It wasn't just Lamar. It was the other QBs. Is there a competition for QB2? We know what we're getting with Snoop, with Tyler Huntley. We know what we're getting with him. We saw him in the season last year. Obviously, there was a really big drop-off in quality after Lamar went down. Huntley was able to get us to the playoffs, but still, he didn't look great, didn't look sharp. Is there a competition for QB2, and could that really heat up after this preseason game?
I don't think so. I think it's right now Huntley's to lose. I certainly think he's the number 2 starter right now. He's certainly Lamar's backup. And that doesn't mean St. Brown. He can certainly make a run at that. There's always competition. Even if Harbaugh was on the show right now, he'd probably say the same thing, right? even with Lamar, there's always competition. You can't, everybody's not a lock, but look, we know that there's players that are locking their positions, and unless it's injury that takes them out, it's their jobs no matter what. But regarding the backups, yeah, I certainly think that St. Brown can make a run at it, but right now it's Huntley's to lose. I think if he shows a poor performance or doesn't get it together, he can certainly lose out on that. And I'm taking the back seat to that. And you look at it. I mean, you had to look at them both last year. Remember, St. Brown and Huntley kind of traded off duties there for starting quarterbacks when Lamar was out last year. So we had to look at what that looked like. Yeah, Huntley's a backup. There was a time where you would think there were some folks out there saying like, "Oh, Huntley can start on an NFL team." I don't think so. He's a backup for a reason, and he's a backup here for a reason because it's kind of the same plug and play system. Same thing with St. Brown. So, either quarterback can certainly come in and run that specific offense. But right now, there's a difference between 1 and 2, and there's a difference between 2 and 3. More so, the 2 and 3 is a lot closer. I certainly think Huntley's got the number 2 spot locked down, unless he shows us otherwise.
What are some of the other spots that you're looking at in this first preseason game? It seems like there are still some question marks. It'll be nice to actually see these guys on the field up against another team. First one that comes to mind for me is probably left guard, but do you have any spots that you're really going to be zoning in on during this first preseason game?
Yeah, I'm going to see who emerges as the kick and punt returner.
Oh, okay.
There's been some names in the mix. We don't know who might emerge there. There's been whispers of, maybe a Justice Hill out there. There's been whispers of, I heard dark rumors of Shamar Bridges, maybe if he can make the team, Tillon Wallace. There are some other names out there. Don't know who the Ravens might have there. That's what I'm going to look on to Saturday night. Who's going to be fielding kickoffs and punts for the Ravens on Saturday night. And I'm going to be making note of that. And we're going to be talking about that next week because I certainly want to see what that looks like and who they're going to put out there. And here's where you're going to showcase it, right? Because this is who you're going to get to see probably try to make the team. That's where I'm looking at. Second is the line, because it's going to be of utmost importance and who's going to be filling those voids, who's going to be emerging as the leaders on the offensive line as well. The offensive line, I mean, you certainly want to focus on the defense, but I certainly think the defense is set right now. I'm more concerned about those two positions my first choice is the kick and punt returning duties on special teams and the offensive line shuffle. I want to see who's the starting line on Saturday night. Obviously, nothing's been released with starters and who's out. We already know you're not going to see the likes of Lamar, Mark Andrews, Odell or Beckham Jr. You're not going to see these guys, Marlon Humphrey. You might see maybe 1 or 2 of the defensive starters out there, if not at all. But I think a majority of the starters on offense and defense are sitting this whole preseason now as it should. But it's also funny because you know how it goes, man. You roll the starters out there and they get hurt. What are you doing playing in a preseason game? But then what if week 1 rolls around and they're rusty? Oh, they should have played in preseason. Well, you can't have it both ways, fans, because they're either going to get hurt in preseason or they're going to be rusty. That's why I use camp and all that. And camp's important because this is what you're going to get to see for the rest of the season right now going into the year. Yeah, it's going to be that. Those are my 2 things. I heard you mention line. Is that where you're going first? You're going offensive line?
Yeah, I definitely want to check out that left guard spot is really a question mark. We don't know who's going to go there. And it's a very interesting storyline right now because we do have Big Salah, who is a 6th-round rookie, and it looks like he's going to be getting that first slot. But is it his job? We don't know. Are they going to bring in some other players to see how they fit in there? But I want to see what Salah does. He's a rookie. We've never seen him before. Now, talking about other rookies, this is going to be game 1. Like you said, there's probably not going to be a lot of starters. What about our first-round draft pick? What about Zay Flowers? Do you think that we're going to see him on Saturday?
I'm glad you brought that up because that's interesting. I've been scouring Ravens media to find that information. Can't find it. I would expect the rookies to be out there for some form or fashion of some playing time because that's what they are, the rookies. I'm looking for the rookie class, especially the 2 that I love, Trent Simpson and Zay Flowers right here. I'm looking for the rookies to get a solid block of playing time in the preseason because this is their intro. Yeah, you don't want your high draft picks getting hurt, but again, like I've alluded to before, do you get them in the practice time? I mean, injuries are part of the game, whether it's preseason, postseason, preseason, camp. I mean, didn't the Ravens 2 years ago lost pretty much everybody of importance in camp? I know that J.K. Dobbins went down in the preseason game, but didn't Gus Edwards and Marcus Peters go down in camp? I mean, that wasn't even a preseason game. That was camp against each other's players. So that was camp. So I remember going on a rant then. You're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt where you're going to get hurt. It's destiny. Okay. Look what happened to Joe Burrow this year. He went down. He wasn't even touched in camp. First day of Bengals camp, down, calf. He wasn't even touched. These things can happen anytime, anywhere. It's just fans getting uproar because they want the players to get hurt in meaningful games, I guess. But I'm like, what are you going to do? Just go in the weight room and not play a single ounce of football until a regular season week 1 when whistle blows? You got to get out there and put in the reps. That's sports. But I expect some of the rookies out there, and I'm going to see. Look, the whole slate, if it were up to me, the whole slate of rookies should be out there preseason game week 1 and then some to get a good look at them. Maybe they hold off Zay Flowers because of the high investment in the draft pick and because he's been very instrumental and very active in the beginning of camp so far this year and very impressive so far. Maybe they'd hold him back and let some of the other guys go. Maybe you see Zay Flowers in preseason game 2 or maybe 3. Not at all. I don't know what the Ravens' plans are. I don't know what Harbaugh has. I can't wait to see what comes of that. But that's the aftermath of it all. I can't wait to see what the game plan is. But again, everything's been so hush-hush leading up to this preseason game against the Eagles. We don't really know what the plan is. And I think it's still early in the week where I don't think Harbaugh and all them had their pressers about the game and nothing's been released. So we don't really know the game plan. So we're going to see what is forthcoming with that. But stay tuned, as always.
I'm glad you brought up the game plan because, as we know, the Ravens currently have a 23 preseason game winning streak. They haven't lost a game, I believe, since 2016. So that Harbaugh loves to win. We all know that. With that 23 game winning streak still on the line, I'm sure he's going into this game looking for a win on Saturday. However, you've got new offensive coordinator. You do have some rookies that could be some starters come week 1 of the regular season. Are they going to take this as a chance to kind of try things out, to do things differently? I mean, this, again, a new offensive coordinator. He has to work out the kinks with John Harbaugh just like a player does. So what is going to be the focus here on week 1? Is it going to be making all these new players acclimated to the field, or is this 23 game winning streak, preseason winning streak, is that on anybody's mind as well?
I think the game
what's
plan,
the most important?
They talked about it. Of course, I was listening to fantasy podcasts this week and with the preseason and all that.
Heard them, yeah.
Because they were breaking down the aftermath of the Hall of Fame game, how the Browns came back and won the Hall of Fame game. And it was it's always great to see that. And I know it was funny seeing on the socials, right? Browns fans, when they were kind of rejoicing, oh, we won the game. Everybody's like, calm down. It's a simulated preseason game. Here. But of course you want to win because someone alluded to it. Why keep score? What? And I think even Harbaugh said it, last year, a couple years ago? I think he said, there's a scoreboard, we're going to win it. You're keeping score, we're going to win it. I don't care. Think about it, man. We're all competitive, right? If me and you were playing mini golf in Ocean City and we're keeping score, I'm sure you want to beat me, right? It's all fun and games. It's a fun thing. We're playing mini golf as friends. Who cares? We're not trying to win trophies, but whether money's on the line or pride or prestige really doesn't matter. Incentive or not, you want to win. You want to come out and go, same thing with playing golf with the boys on the weekends. It's I'm out there having fun, smoking cigars, enjoying the outdoors, but I'm trying to beat you guys, right? It's fun and no one wants to lose, no matter what you're doing. Playing Monopoly with the fam, it don't matter. But that's the thing. There's a scoreboard. You're going to want to win it. And I think the Ravens, especially Herb on the coaching staff, would be. I think they call it what it is. I think they'd be lying to themselves if they say, "Oh, we're not trying to win a game." Of course they are. There's a reason why they won 23 straight of these things for a reason. But again, it doesn't matter. It's fun to talk about, and it's a fun streak. It doesn't mean anything, especially when I think the Lions, when they went 0-16, I think they went 4-0 in the preseason, right? And then they didn't win a meaningful game. So they won all their meaningless games, but then didn't win a meaningful game, which is crazy. And then you hear the Ravens, it's they go undefeated preseason, and then but the Ravens, the recent years, they start off hot, and then Lamar gets hurt, and they fizzle out, or they just fizzle out completely. So you hope that's not the same blueprint mantra going into this year, other than 19, where they just started out 500 and then just win gangbusters on everybody until the playoff game. But that's a moot point. Um, yeah, I think number 24, if they go to 25 and maybe 26 in a row this year and then knock a sweep of 3 games here in the preseason, yeah, it's fun to talk about because you're like, hey, for the last, I don't know, 6, 7 seasons, the Ravens been undefeated in the preseason. Like, I think it's fun to talk about. Look, and everybody's got their opinion. You might not care. You might, who cares? And I can't wait to hear what you guys say. But as far as the offensive philosophy is concerned, that second part, that's what also that gets lost in everything else when you're talking about, who might play positions, looking at rookies. How about Todd Monken in his new offense? Now he's not going to unveil everything else against the Eagles on Saturday night, no, but I want to see what it looks like. I want to watch his demeanors on the sideline. I want to see what the communication looks like. I'm going to watch the play clock. Do they get the play in on time? Is it up tempo? Does he instill that even with the backups? Is it the same ran offense? Are we going to see the same vanilla Greg Roman, kind of deal? And I don't think so. Obviously, it's a different guy, different schemes, but that's another thing that I'm certainly want to look at. And I think, yeah, the offensive philosophy is going to probably be different for sure when we see that, no matter if it's the second or third stringers. But yeah, I think 23, going on 24 win, yeah, it's in the back of their minds. You always hear from Harbaugh first, the keys of the game in preseason: come out with no injuries and win the game. That's like the twofold preseason method for the Ravens every time. But the number one for everybody is always no injuries, coaches, players alike, and the fans, because last thing you want to see these guys go down, and especially some guy who's meaningful, in a position of need. So, yeah, that's certainly something I want to look forward to. What say you, man? Are you concerned, about any wins there? Or I mean, obviously it's preseason. Do you really care as much, or are you on the side of that too? Do you think it's fun? Do you think it's fun to talk about? Do you think it's fun to say, hey, Ravens have won so many of these things in a row? And it's pretty cool. I mean, I know that the media last year made a big stink of it too, kind of making a point of it. So, what say you, man?
I love the fact that this streak just kind of snuck up on everybody. It was that no one was really paying attention until it was almost too late, and it was kind of like, oh, these guys are getting close to their record. They haven't lost a preseason game in a while. They're getting really close to that record, and then the Ravens were able to finally beat that record. I like it. I do like it. If these games meant absolutely nothing, why keep score? A win is a win. Doesn't matter what you're doing, but currently the Ravens are the record holders, and I'm sure they want to keep that streak alive. John Harbaugh, he's a competitive guy. He's going to want to win. He's going to want to keep that streak going. Wasn't there? Remember, there was a big hoopla a couple years ago because it was a record of how many rushing yards Lamar had or something like that against Denver, and Denver got all mad. They're like, obviously you were winning. You didn't have to go for the record. Harbaugh still went for it. Why not? Keep our names in the record books. Absolutely. That's history right there. So I'm all for it. And now, as I say that, this is a different team, okay? This is a new offensive coordinator. If they go out there and they want to kind of get funky and try out some different things that we haven't seen before, in the Greg Roman era, go for it. Try it out. This is the time to figure it out. Work out the kinks. That's what preseason is for. Can you get the W and work out the kinks at the same time? I think that this team can absolutely do that. I want them to do that. So we'll see what happens. I love the fact that there's a streak and that we're the record holders right now. I think that's amazing. I love it. So keep going. Do what you're doing, Coach Harbs. And yeah, let's go have a W on Saturday.
I've always said preseason's fun because these jobs, man, they're won and lost. You're seeing people trying to make an NFL team, man. It's a live interview. It's auditions. So I love going to camp. You're going to see that when you go in a couple weeks too. So I just love it, and I think the throw of it all, we're going to see it all available for the first one on Saturday night, man. It's going to be great.
Now, with saying that, do we give predictions? Do we give predictions on scores and everything like that for this Saturday? What do you think?
I just want to predict everybody to be healthy, and the jobs that are on the line, I want the players to perform their best and put their best effort out there, and let's see what happens, right? I want to see who really emerges and who wants to show they want to make this final squad for this year in 2023. And You don't want anybody to be sent home, but as we know, the rosters will be cut. People aren't going to be on the squad, as the weeks come closer to the regular season. So I can't wait to see what this looks like. But yeah, we certainly want to root for a Ravens victorious on the scoreboard. But first and foremost, I'm rooting for a victorious, healthy Bill, a clean bill of health, and hopefully the Ravens get out there unscathed in that regard. The Ravens have had few minor injuries in camp, but nothing too serious. Obviously, Rock Ya-Sin went down, a little bit ago. He's deemed fine. Some other players had some minor, kinks and bruises there, but yeah, that's what I'm rooting for. I'm going to stop short of predictions, but I'm going to say this: just let's predict a clean bill of health. How's that?
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I don't want anyone to get hurt. No more injuries. We've had enough injuries in the last couple years. Let's hope for everybody to be healthy, happy. Could they come away with a win and be happy? Yeah, I would like that too. But everybody just stay healthy. Let's have a good regular season. Preseason is just the audition. So there's a couple spots to be made, and hopefully we get to see some guys really show off and show why they want to be on this team, why they want to be a part of the 53-man roster come September. So it should be a fun one on Saturday. It's Ravens, it's Eagles at M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. It is your only chance to see the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore until September. So definitely get out there if you can. Enjoy it. It's kids night. Kids get a floppy hat, a reversible floppy hat, so you could wear it purple or white, depending on what you're feeling. Away or home jerseys, it's your choice. Floppy hat will go with either one. But Josh, have we covered everything for this episode of The Call?
Absolutely, brother. Quote the Raven, never mo.
All right, everybody. Well, if you would like to continue the conversation with Josh or I, you can. It's real easy. Go over to our Discord, discord.gg/thecallpodcast. Join our server. Have some tailgate talk, some game day chat. We would love to discuss things with you over on our Discord. Now, we do the show for free. You listen, stream, and download on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Big thanks to our friend Chris, who checks out our show all the time, listens to us every single week, especially when he goes for walks. Thanks a lot for listening to us, Chris. But all we ask in return is for you to please spread the word about the show. Write us an Apple Podcast review. Rate us over on Spotify, and then let people know all about us on all of your social media platforms. Say, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I listen to The Call, and you should too. Before we get out of here, before we give it off to Josh, just want to say, John Angelos, free Kevin Brown. Let the man do his job. We miss him on those Baltimore Orioles broadcasts. Josh, it's time. It's Ravens. It's Eagles. Take us out the way you always do.
You got it, brother. And as always, we want to see the Ravens rocket in the preseason. We're getting closer to that regular season game. But as we talked about and alluded to, want the team to put out their best effort, but hey, no injuries, right? But I'm excited as anybody to get down to the bank for the one and only home preseason game. I hope to see you there. If you're there, please look me up, section 517. And I can't wait to link up with you guys. I know throughout the preseason, we certainly welcomed some fans. We certainly interacted with the fans. I remember having the interview with one of our good ones, David Rivers, out there. He got to come to the town, and he linked up with us for the preseason game. So we were certainly excited about that. I can't wait to be down there Saturday night. It's going to be fun. It's going to be great. And hey, we're getting closer to Ravens regular season football. First of 3 preseason games. How about it, Ravens? Let's root them hard. Let's hope for no injuries. But that being said, hey, there's a scoreboard. Let's go take it. Baltimore Ravens, let's fly high.
This has been a production of Brando Cash Entertainment. Music by Brad Lepore and Daniel Kelly from the DBK Studio. For more information, go to brandocash.com.